Namaste everyone, welcome to the class. If you're really interested in all these classes which I'm posting from past few months, you can subscribe my channel and just give me a thumbs up if you really enjoy these sessions. It really helps me to build this community and it's a two-way street. If you want to practice with me personally in a private session or the group classes on the Zoom, there are very affordable options which you can apply for. I will put an email in the description, and if you really like to join me for any session, you can send your inquiry. Thank you so much. Let's start the class. Happy Holi to everyone. Wish you a very happy Holi. And okay, I kept you awake also on Sunday, so thanks for coming. Good. Okay, come on. Let's sit in comfortable pose. We'll start with conditioning. Keeping your back straight, eyes closed, shoulder relaxed, normal breathing. Pay attention to the breath. Condition your mind. Keep your back straight. Breathing in and breathing out. Simply being, keeping your spine straight, shoulder relaxed, normal breathing. Allow to observe your breath naturally. Inhale and exhale out. Minimize the movement of your body and completely relax. Inhale and exhale out. Try not to hold any part of your body while observing the natural breath. Now, bring your palms into Namaskar Atmanjali Mudra. We'll chant A, U, Ma combination together. Take a deep breath in. Once again, inhale. One last, inhale. Exhale, go down. Bring your forehead towards the ground. And gently bend down completely. And inhale. Come up. Open your eyes. Okay. Welcome. So today I'm going to discuss about a few things regarding the posture development. Okay. In posture development, the simple things are the number one is basically the important part of the postural development. One second. The important aspect of postural development is to be focused upon that why we have the problem, how the way our spine is, and why the reason the spine is functioning in that way. Okay. The reason behind we are focusing on posture development is whatever the asanas we are practicing in the class, so we can have clear understanding and the awareness on why we are practicing this particular asana. For example, the reason why we practice Navasana is to not only engage the core, is to improve the lumbar region. And where do we right now we stand in the spinal problem? Okay, everyone has certain problem with the spine. Okay, and when I say problem, it can be very confined thing, like it can be a very big thing, like you have a big arch or a big curvature in your spine, or it can be a small deformity. Okay, so over the time the spine do get degenerate. ठीक है, time के साथ साथ spine degenerate होती है. You will feel that the lower back pain, the cervical, the hump, and different types of pain do come in the as we ages after the age of 25. It's very normal. So how we can prevent it? What are the things which we can do, start doing right now to help us to keep the spine healthy? Why only the spine we are talking? The first thing in the class we are talking about the spine is because spine plays an important role. We all know spine do includes all the neurons. Okay, spine has the vertebrae, very delicate system. Why the spine formed over the years? I hope everyone has read this book called Homo Sapiens. If you don't, do check it out. It's one of the best book by Yuval. So they tell you about why the spine has uh, it is right now what it should be from over thousands and thousands of years. Okay, why we reached here right now? Because humans always wanted to, watch the things on the height. Okay, we always wanted to be on the hunt. We always wanted to see the things which we cannot even look for. So over the years we developed a spine little straight, but there are always some consequences, okay, of having a straight spine. So we need to keep doing some practices to keep the spine healthy. Okay, so there are a lot of weight on the spine, the weight of your muscles, the weight of your body, and the weight which you developed over the years. Okay, but there are certain ways, there are certain techniques you can start implementing right now to keep your spine healthy. Okay, you will not understand any of this thing in the class if you haven't practiced with me, because whatever we are going to understand, it's everything is related with whatever we practice, and you will understand the deeper meaning of the whole class which we have studied. Okay, so I have few pictures, so I will help you out with the pictures that will make you much easier to understand. One second. Okay, so it won't allow me to share my screen. Okay, it is. Okay, can everyone see my screen right now? Is it possible? Huh? Okay, now see this. Postural development. Okay, can you see my screen? Is it possible? Correct. Okay, so let's start by one. Okay, so the first thing which we are going to talk about in today's class is called the center of gravity. Okay, why the center of gravity is most important? I will tell you why your knees are right now. It's what are the reasons why your knees is hyperextended? What are the reasons your knees are bent too much? What are the reasons you have too much arch on your back? What is the role after the females have the pregnancy? We'll talk everything about it. Okay, so let's go by one. So the reason why the spine is always a little curve, okay, your spine can never be as fully straight. If it is fully straight, it's called sway back. Okay, straight spine can create a lot of problem, and too much arch also can create a lot of problem. So the way the spine should be normally, it should be a slightly curved. Why? Because the reason is to absorb the shock. Okay, for example, we always, since a child, we always have a habit of jumping, okay, walking, running. So while we are running, while we are jumping, we need some absorption, like a car. Okay, like how the car has suspension. So that's why we need some suspension in the body. This is the reason number one I always tell to keep your knees bent in your class. Okay, a slight bend in your knees. If you remember, I always keep saying micro bend your knees. Okay, micro bend your knees. Always keep your knees slightly bent. It's not because you cannot bend fully. It's not because your hamstring is tight. It is a reason why I tell you to absorb the shock. Okay, this is one of the reasons. Now, you can see they are number one, number two, three, four, five, six. This is the posture of 2-year-old kid. 4 year, 6 year, 8 year, 10 year, 18. So by the time we reach till the age of 18, we develop a perfect center of mass in the body. So right now you can see till the age of 2, the center of gravity in the child is in the lumbar region. Can you see the deep arch in the body? And the knees are also slightly back. See, there it's a big arch, and the belly is also out. When we are especially when the age of 2. So you will see the kid, especially in the 2 years old, they really find difficult to balance the body because first of all the knees are too straight, hyperextend, they are going back, and the pressure directly on your lumbar, which is not good. By the age of 4 or 6, you really start developing the posture slightly above. You see, from here, the arch, it shifts, it comes merely more in the center. And by the age of 18, it's absolutely in the center of the pelvic because we develop the flexibility and mass here. Till the age of 10, 11, 12, the children is still very fragile. Okay. And that is a very important aspect where we teach our kids how to walk properly. Okay. Because if you don't let the kid properly nourish these years, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, they can really lose the strength around the knees or the joint. Okay. So usually we teach our kids to walk by the railing or by holding the wall. But overall, in general, if you teach or not, by the age of 18, they develop enough muscles to improve. So this is the history of our body, why we are here right now, where are we? And this will teach you a lot of things. Okay. And this will tell you the entire thing, what you wanted to learn about it. So if you see the next picture, these are the types of faulty posture. Okay. And now today we will learn about the faulty postures. So in faulty postures, through faulty postures, you will also understand about your body. Okay. And whenever I'm talking in these Sundays classes, I want you to always reflect on yourself. Okay. Look at yourself. What are the things? Where do you lie? And what are the things which you can do in the class, in the Monday to Thursday, Friday classes? What are the things you can implement in your day-to-day practice? And these are the very important things. Okay. Now, before we go into the faulty posture, we need to understand a little bit about the body. Okay. To understand the body, we have to go only with the spine. So this is the cervical. Okay. The neck region is the fully cervical. Okay. There are C1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. And these C's, what are the C? Basically, these are the vertebrae. Okay. And these vertebrae have different different roles to play in the body. So for example, let's say go start with a very simple one. The C1 has nothing to do, is just like a support system of the back of the head. Okay. But when you start from the C2, C3, these are very important vertebrae because these will help you to move your neck. It can move at least to 60, 70 degree, and it can help you to move your neck very much. Okay. And if they are not there, you can't even move your neck. That's why the people who find difficulty in moving the neck is not the lower ones, it's also the upper ones. Okay. After that, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 is a basic one, connects with the T. We'll talk later. But till the 6, these are the most important, not only because they give you a lot of range of motion and it also keeps your spine up straight, but it also has the nerves in between. So for example, let's say C2 and C3, in between there is a nerve, and that nerves is in between these cervical, and that has the blood, that has the neurons, that has the prana, that has the nadi shakti, everything. Okay. And if there is any problem, any compression in these two ones, it can change the process of how you think, how you act, how you react, how angry can you be, how irritated you can become. It's all depend on the cervical. Okay. So these are the very important thing. Now, by the age of 40 years old, the cervical gets degenerate. The strength of the cervical get lost. And it is very normal. No amount, how much of the practice, exercise, how good you eat, by the age of 40, these will degenerate. Now, what our role is to not harm them or to create a problem, to create a more compression. Okay. So that's why I see the more you can keep them apart, The more there is a good amount of space between them, the better it will be. What are the practices we do in the class which helps you to the neck? Can anyone guess what are the practices which we have done in the class which can help us to
Head rotation.
neck rotation? Yeah,
Ah.
right. Neck rotation is right. Anything else which is in your mind which helps you to keep your neck apart, vertebrae are safe, which will help you to not compress the cervical.
Side bending.
Which bending?
Side bending.
Side bending, no. Side bending could be, but not in this case. The
Cat
most
and cow pose.
cat and cow pose, yes, very important. Cat and cow pose. Cat and cow pose do help you. Aditi said Brahma Mudra. No, I'm talking about the asanas. Which asana helps you?
Downward facing dog.
Downward facing dog. Correct. Who said this?
Divya.
Okay, correct. Downward facing dog. Why downward facing dog? Because right when you are into the downward facing dog, you are creating the body upside down. Inversions, very important. Not the inversion I'm talking about, Shirshasana, headstand. No, for that you need a very good control of your core. But downward facing dog is one of the best asana which you can practice. But we are not allowed to move the neck too much. That's why I keep saying you keep your body stable. Don't move your neck here and there. Okay. Now, so downward facing dog helps you to let the neck flow freely. Okay. And the more your neck is flowing freely down, it can create some space. Okay. So, the first sign of spondylitis in your cervical is you will feeling the palpitation in your hand, sensation, numbness. You won't feel the good blood circulation around your arm. That is the first sign. Okay. Now, for example, another reason is this is your mobile phone. Okay. Now, if you hold your mobile phone like this is this little finger of yours. If it gets too much, if you hold your mobile phone too much from this side and you keep scrolling, there will be a point you will feel the lack of circulation on the forearm. And this forearm will connect you to the C6, C4, C5. Okay. And that is one of the major reasons why the newer generation have the problem of cervical very easily. Because holding the phone, especially this little finger, it's very difficult. Okay. This can create the restrained blood flow over here. So this thing is very, very dangerous for us, especially because the neck is leaning forward. Okay. There is a compression in the C4 and there is a lack of blood circulation which will happen because of this little finger. Okay. So this is about the cervical. Then we have the T. Okay. We have the thoracic. This is the thoracic. Okay. So it starts from the T12. So C7 and T12, they are together. They are close to each other. And they are 12 bones in thoracic. And then they have scapula. And we have our lumbar, the lower back, of course. But when we talk about the T1, especially the T12 plays an important role because that is the one which gives you the space around the chest. Okay. And especially you will see this neck is mostly the cervical. Then we have the T. And here we have the lumbar, the major one which we are going to talk about today. Okay. So let's get started with it. Now see, here they are talking about the types of faulty postures. This posture they consider correct because there is only a natural curve in the spine and the hips are not too big. Okay. If your hips are too big, what will happen? You will create a lot of pressure on the lumbar region. Okay. The bigger the hips are, the more it can become a problem with your the center of gravity. There are various regions you can create a problem with your center of gravity. Nowadays, there are also a trend to make your hips bigger by doing the squats exercises and the males and females both in that case. But that can create a big issue for your lower back. What are the other reasons? If anyone can tell me where we feel a lot of pressure on the lumbar. Any habits, can you tell me, anyone? Which can create a problem in the lumbar region?
Weightlifting.
Weightlifting, yeah. That can be a thing. Yes, 100%.
Long time sitting.
Long time sitting. Yes. Long time sitting will not create a arch. I'm talking about just the arch. What are the things which can possibly create a arch in your back?
Belly.
Belly? That is right. Who said this?
Sapna.
Okay, Sapna. Yes. So the belly, the bigger your belly is, the more weight and mass you have on your belly in the front, that can create a lot of incorrect standing. Yes, incorrect standing also. So the more you have weight on your belly, the more it can create a problem. And what are the reasons of having a big belly? It can be a pregnancy. Okay, it can be your the dieting problems. What are the food you are consuming day to day? That can create a problem. Or in general, no strength in your belly. People who have a big belly, but they can still maintain a good spine. It's not about the belly. It's about how the way you do your exercises, your practices. Okay. You can always create, if you practice, I will not tell you the asana. You have to guess which asana. I will tell you the whole process. There are the few asanas which help you to remove that lumbar compression, to help you to keep your belly engaged, keep your thighs engaged, keep your hips engaged, to remove that compression. And which is the asana? Can anyone tell me?
Agni
Salbhasan.
Stambhasan.
Which one?
Salbhasan.
Shalabasan? No. No.
Setu Bandhasan.
Setu Bandhasan. Absolutely. Who said this? Setu Bandhasan?
Swati.
Very good. Setu Bandhasana helps you to develop the strength in your thighs. This is your thighs, this is your hips, and your belly. Okay. Setu Bandhasana is one of the few asanas which works three parts of your body simultaneously all together. Usually, asana works as we focus on one body part while you are entering, and then while you are holding, it works on a one particular part, and while you are releasing, it works. But Setu Bandhasana works on all these three regions together, and it's one of the best asanas. Okay, they are a deeper level talking, but we'll speak about just the spine curvature. So Setu Bandhasana practice can help you to reach here in this good posture. Okay, if you find yourself anywhere in A, B, C, D, E, you can always reach here. Now see this. We'll talk about A. Now, people who have always do a lot of gymming, a lot of weightlifting, their chest and the shoulder becomes very stiff, very tight. So they always stand like this, chest up. Okay, that can create also the curvature, because instead of bringing the chest out, you always compress your lower back. So that can create a problem. You can become the posture become like this in A. It can also be the problem of your what? The problem of if you're in the pregnancy or the weight of your belly is too much, if there is no holding of your core, it can also become like this. Now we'll talk about the next one. But before that, we'll talk about the wide base. Now, have you seen anyone seen if you have a kid or anyone see the kids like to stand with the feet apart always, like they spread their legs too wide and they stand like this sometimes. Okay, sometimes the kids, if you watch kids very carefully, they stand with wider feet. You know the asana which we practice, prasarita paduttanasana, the wider feet pose. They stand with the wide feet. Okay, and they stand. Why they stand with the wide feet? Because kids find very difficult to balance in the early age, because the pelvic weight is too much and the limbs cannot hold it. The same mistake we carry on after we age. Okay, people who don't have who haven't been into any sports, who haven't practiced any form of yoga or any form of exercises or mobility routine, they create the pressure on the hip, on the pelvic, and they keep their feet wider than the hip. Okay, so if your hips are this much, you keep your feet this wide. Usually your feet and your hip should be in one line. Okay, and that depends upon how much strength you have on your thighs. You understand what I'm talking about? Are we losing the track? So your feet should be in line with the hip, and that is why I always tell you same thing again and again, 100 times. Keep your feet parallel. Keep your feet parallel. What is the meaning of keeping the feet parallel? Keeping the hips and the feet in a same single line, not to distribute the weight on your hip. When you keep your feet in line with the hip, you are actually creating the weight on your feet, on your thigh, on your hip. But when you keep your feet wide, you are not putting the weight on your thigh or your knee or your hip. You are putting the weight on your pelvic. Everyone getting it what I'm saying? Huh? Is it making sense? Huh? Again, I'll repeat it again, because see, these informations need to be clear if you're practicing with me. So again, feet wider means you are creating the weight on the pelvic, because the moment you keep your feet wider, the pelvic cannot distribute the weight. It will always be on your hip, always be on your pelvic, always on your bone, your skeletal system. But when you keep your feet parallel like this, you immediately engage your thigh muscles, immediately engage your glutes, your gluteus maximus. You immediately engage your hip flexors. Hip flexors are what? Inner thighs. And that's why I tell you, shift the weight in, shift the weight in, keep the feet parallel. And that is the whole reason of. That is the first step to keep your lower back safe. Okay. Now, the next one. What is the other reason of we can have the curvature in the spine? And that is called the bow knees. Okay. I will tell you. We are here to study. Okay. We are here to 1 second. Stop. So let's use the example of Divyaji. Okay. Divyaji, you can come. Okay. Can you stand us for all of us, please? Thank you so much. Okay. We are all learning from each other, and from different bodies, we will learn different things. Okay. There is no jokes or offense anyone will take. Okay. Come on. Divyaji, come close to the screen. Come close to the screen. Come close to the me. Okay. Can anyone see Divyaji? Everyone can see Divyaji? Okay. Divyaji, turn sideways. Turn lateral. Okay. Now, आप अपने घुटने सीधे कर लो. Straight your knees completely. बिल्कुल सीधे सीधे बिल्कुल सीधे. Okay. Now, see. Divyaji has slightly bow knees because her knees are going slightly back. वो थोड़े से पीछे जा रहे हैं. Can everyone see? Her knees are hyperextend. Now, दिव्या जी थोड़ा पीछे जाओ, मैट से थोड़ा टीवी की तरफ जाओ. कैन यू गो टूवर्ड्स द टेलीविजन? यस. हाँ, बस स्टे देयर. नाउ हाथ को ऊपर कर लो, हाथ को ऐसे टी पोजीशन में कर लो. वेरी गुड. हाँ, वेरी गुड. ओके. नाउ सी, when Divya ji has a bow knees where the knees are going back, can you see the lower back? Can you see her lower back? Because there is a compression in the lower back, the knees are compensating the body by taking it back. Now see this. Divya ji, घुटने मोड़ो अपने. Can you bend your knees? Bend your knees. बस. अब हाथ को सीधा करो. हाथ को टी पोजीशन में लाओ. थोड़े से और मोड़ो घुटनों को. Can you see now? Her lower back is slightly safe. Immediately, she will not feel the pressure on the lower back. Ab Divya ji, straight your knees back again. Straight your knees. Immediately the pressure, the center of gravity comes to the lower back. Divya ji, bend your knees again. Center of gravity comes towards the middle back. Straight your knees again, Divya ji. Center of gravity comes to the lower back. Are we getting what I'm trying to say here? Divya ji, thank you so much. Thank you so much for helping us. Are we getting what I'm saying? The moment you keep your knees back, the moment you have a lower back compression, your knees will always go back. Now, today, your homework is, if you have any obese, overweight people, okay? I'm not talking about Divyaji. I'm talking about the person who have like this, who are a little wider. You must have seen the people who are actually obese. You check out their knees, okay? You check out the knees. In the females, deep arch is a very common thing because of the pregnancy and multiple surgeries and all. But I want you to look out for any obese people if you have anyone around. And I want you to closely observe the knees. Don't tell anything up to them. Don't offend them. Just watch the knees very carefully. You will find the knees are hyperextend and going back. And they really find it difficult to keep their feet parallel to each other. They always keep the feet wide because the weight is too much on the pelvic. And the knees will be bow knees. They will be this. Okay, I'll show you a picture again of the bow knees. So, where were we? Postural development. Yeah. So, see this. So, Yeah, see this. Can everyone see this picture? Now, the moment we have a arch in the lower back, we tend to take the knees back. And the moment you take your knees backward, the femur bone and the shin bone, they will create the pressure on the knee joint, the patella over here. And when this gets weakened, you really lose the engagement around the thigh muscle. This will get weakened. And the moment it will get weakened, you will keep your feet wide. And you will lose the strength around the pelvic region. So the more arch you have here, the more your knees will go back. And that is one of the situation called the Lordosis, where your spine will always hump. The moment you have arch here, the upper spine will be humped. So what are the practices which we can do to prevent this? Who can tell me? What are the asanas to prevent this? Can anyone guess? Huh? No? No? Go. At least make a try. Make a false attempt.
Bridge pose.
Bridge pose. Bridge pose creates more arch because the hip is up. It's creating an arch. We have to remove the arch. So what are the possible asanas?
Tadasan. Tadasan.
No, Tadasana is still, because if you already have an arch, if you stand and then you lift up, you will still have an arch. What are the things we can do to counter?
Adhihastasana.
Adho Svanasana can be, possibly it will help you 100%. But there is one particular asana.
Balasan.
Balasana can also help you. But there is one asana directly works directly.
Forward bending.
Who said Shavasana? I really like the thought about it. But no, Shavasana, if you already have an arch, and if you lie down straight on your back, Shavasana, you will still have an arch, and then you will have more pain. Okay, I'll tell you. It's very simple asana, and everyone knows. Everyone practice it multiple times in my class. It's called Pavan Muktasana, hugging your knees to your chest. Okay, because when you hug your knees to your chest, immediately your lower back becomes straight on the ground. Okay, I'll tell you one more thing. Let's take one more example. Who will be the demonstrator? Let me see. Shankarji, let's use Shankarji. Okay, Shankarji, can you please come and lie down on the back for us? Thank you so much. So everyone can see Shankarji's. Shankarji, take your arms over the head. Haathon ko upar le lo, and then lie down. Yes, lie down completely for us. Thank you. Yes. Okay. Now, can you slightly take your shirt slightly up, just so we can see your lower back? Just we can see your lower back. Yes. Okay. Now, can you see Shankarji? His lower back is slightly arched because years and years of work, years and years of walking, or maybe athlete, maybe multiple reasons in his day-to-day lifestyle. Okay. His lower back is slightly arched. Okay. He's in Shavasana right now. And it will be arched because he has a slight compression in his lumbar, which is very common in the males who has worked for years and Shankarji used to have a lower back problems a few months back. Now after practicing, he has slightly less, usually how he used to be. Now see this. Shankarji, bend your knees and hug your knees to the chest. Pavan Muktasana. His lower back is on the ground now. Now there is no arch on the back. Okay. Easier version. Shankarji, place your feet on the ground. Keep your knees bent. His lower back is still on the ground. So people who find difficult practicing Shavasana with the straight legs, you can start with that. Everyone has to check. Everyone knows who has the arch, a deeper arch in the lower back. And by understanding this, you can always remember that keeping the back flat on the ground will help you to develop a good posture. Okay. Thank you, Shankarji. You can come. Are we keeping the track or are we losing the track? Are you getting my point? What I'm saying?
Yes.
Okay. So the few things which we are talking about today is the center of gravity. Okay. The faulty posture, to understand the arch in the lower back. And now we're going to talk about one more topic, But before moving ahead, you have to understand there are few muscles which we can start using in the habit, starting you using into the day-to-day life in your activity. And also, what are the asanas to keep your lower back safe? Okay, let's talk about the number one asana. This is one of my favorite asanas, and it should be your favorite asanas. And if it's not your favorite asana, I will make it one. Okay, so let's talk about this. Okay, so okay, so this is the female posture. So whenever I'm talking about these development classes, I will also consider the female body is slightly more fragile because the bones lose their density very quickly than the males. And this is something how we biologically made, and we have to put it under our notice. Okay. So you see the female's pelvic are always little tilted because this lady might have gone to the surgery. Okay. They might have gone to the pregnancy, and years and years of holding a baby like this can make your belly goes out and create a pressure on the arch. Okay, so that's why after the postnatal, you will always have to need to practice. Now, this is the common problem which you will face in the males. This is called the sway back, where there is no arch in your back at all. And you see the hip is falling downward. Instead, in the females, the hips are moving upward. Here in the males, the hip is moving downward. And see, the hip is pushing forward. Can you see? The hip is pushing forward, where in the female, the hip is pushing backward and it's creating an arch. Now, both of them creates the compression on the lower back. That is a funny thing. Now, but in the female, the compression happens over here, right in the middle. But in the male, it happens in the deeper, in the tailbone. Because the male has a habit of pushing the hip and standing and, taking the belly out. Because the support in the male system, they always takes in the skeleton. They don't like to engage the muscles. Neither males or female body like to engage the muscles all the time. If you haven't been into any athletics or a yoga practice or any exercise, you will always put the weight on the skeleton. So here you see the male is pushing the hip forward. They are standing like this, like tilted forward. So they're using the compress, where the females, they take the hips backward, back. So you remember the practices which you're doing, tucking in, tucking out, tucking in, tucking out. So that is the practice. Okay. So these are the two things which we have to keep under the notice. And now, what is the asana which can cure both of these things? Tucking the pelvic in, tucking the pelvic out. So remember, point number one, understand this. Point number one, the reason why male and female both are like this is because they are not using the thigh muscles and their abdomen muscles. If your abdomen muscles become engaged, if your thigh muscles become engaged, your lower back will never be compressed. And now the question is, what is the asana which can engage your abdomen and your thighs all together? Also, engage your inner thighs, your hip flexors. What is that asana? Can anyone tell me?
Naukasana.
Which asana?
Naukasana.
Yes, absolutely right. The first attempt is good. Navasana. Remember the asana which we do? Everyone remember? This is one of the most powerful asana if you are facing any lower back issues. Okay. Navasana should be practiced at least 4 or 5 times regularly while being into one practice. Okay. Navasana develops the strength on your the abdomen, of course, your thighs, your flexors. But there is a muscle which is going from your abdomen to your thighs called ellipsosis, the PCOS. You don't have to know that clearly, but it is a muscle which is connecting your abdomen and your thighs. It is a muscle which is holding your belly, your lower abdomen, and your thighs together. If this muscle does not exist, the belly will go apart, the thighs will go apart. So basically, that muscle which is holding abdomen and thighs together, the PCOS, that needs to be strengthened, and that engages just only through the Navasana practice. There are other asanas to stretch also, like when we bend the knees, keep it by the side, and then we lie down. Remember? Up the Parigrasana. So there are few asanas. But Navasana is very important if you want to not, if you don't want to look yourself here in the next few years. Okay, so these are the two things. Now, what are the problems you can face if your spine is faulty? If you are anywhere here, if your spine is faulty, you see this back. See, have you seen anyone in this posture sway back? You must have seen the posture like this. I was teaching to one of my student, and he gave one of the best example of a sway back. I don't know if you can connect it or not. There is a very famous TV show which we always see. It's called Tarak Mehta, and in that there is a one character called Bhaga, and you will see that guy always standing like this. Have you seen that guy always standing like this, where he's pushing his pelvic forward? You will find lot of male bodies who always push the hip forward, and they lean the hip forward. Usually this posture goes like this. They always push the hip forward, and they always put the hands and the resting on their belly. You will always find that. And it is not their problem. It's basically no one ever taught them how to engage their muscles. So that's why they try to push the hip. But what are the problems you can face if you have any postures from A to E? If you have any posture like this, and which you do have, most of the students right now who are practicing, you have a little bit of faulty posture. You can never be as perfect because there are years of bad sitting, bad eating problems, and the bad way you sit, you talk, and you lie down, you sleep. There will be a slight problem, but if it is major ones, you can affect your breathing problems. So those who are having a lot of breathing issues, it's all about the compression on your lower back. Because if you have compression on the lower back, your thoracic, your chest will not be functioning up to its best. Okay, so respiratory problems. Okay, so this is one of the major problems you will feel if you have a lower back pain. Now we have so many other topics, but we will talk about one more thing before we go forward, or before we go ending this session today. If you have lower back issues, once again I'm talking about here, if you have especially this A to B, we are talking about kyphosis or the sway back, what are the posture you can start practicing to remove that hunchback? If you have the hunchback, see, if you have a lower back problem, you will immediately develop a hunchback. That is very common. You will develop, because to compensate this, you will lean back. You are trying to shift your whole body weight onto your skeleton. So you will develop a hunchback. And what are the asana you can practice to remove that hunchback? Can anyone tell me?
Setu Bandhasan followed by Pavan Muktasan. One
Uh,
round of Setu Bandhasan, and then you have to do one round of Pavan Muktasan, Purna Pavan Muktasan. If we practice this at least 2 to 3 times, you will get slight relaxation in your back.
Okay. So your answer is correct, but the question is, what is we need to do for the back, upper back here, this region? Can you see around the chest? This one, this hump, not this one. What you said is to start working over here. We need to work on the upper back over here. What are the possible asanas which you can do to have a relaxed neck flexors, have a relaxed upper back, and without affecting our respiratory problems? What are the asanas? If anyone can guess, try to
Cat and
guess.
cow pose.
Bhujangasana.
Cat and cow pose.
Cat and cow.
Bhujangasana.
Bhujanga.
Bhujanga asana is possible also, but the most and the most important asana is the cat and cow pose. Remember the class where I taught you the scapular contraction and protraction? Can anyone remember that class where we have practiced contraction and okay? So your scapula, that is something you need to work upon. The more you practice your cat and cow pose, you take your shoulder blades together and apart, shoulder blades together and apart. You will improve your posture in no time. by just simply practicing the cat and cow pose. Okay, of course, they are the position of your palm, how it is. If you're keeping your palms like this, it can be a problem. You need to keep it wide. There are certain factors involved. But cat and cow pose will help you to remove the compression in the lower back if you have a hump back on your thoracic, your scapula.
Sir, sorry to disturb you, but there are few people who find it difficult to do cat and cow postures. Although we ask them to widespread their fingers, keep their hands in 45-degree angle, but they cannot do it for a longer period of time, like how we do in our classes. There are
Don't worry.
few people
You
who
just
can't do it.
you just do it for a small time. That's okay. 5-10 seconds is also okay. No problem. But keep the practice is important. Okay, so cat and cow pose will help you to remove the problem around the scapula. If you keep protract them, if you take your hump back like this and then arch. So pushing the chest forward and contract, forward and contract. Also the shoulder blades goes together, goes together. Okay. So these are the few asanas which you can start implementing in your day-to-day. You understand how the faulty posture can create a problem. What is the lower back problem? What are the cervical? How the cervical is connected to the tingling, palpitation in your palms and hands. To summarize more, what is the hip flexors? What are the different two types of back issues which we face? How the female body and the male body reacts? What are the few asanas which will help you to just have a correction? Now, when you have this knowledge about the physiology and anatomy of your practice, next time when you come into the class, you will have more awareness when you put on the mat. Okay. So your homework is today, of course, you're going to be relaxed and having a holy and celebration. And from Monday, when we are on the class, I want you to be aware of your posture. See how many times you keep your feet parallel, how many times you shift your weight and not using your thighs, not using your the glutes. Okay, and when you're practicing asanas such as Navasana, Setu Bandhasana, all these asanas. Okay, so this is a very simple thing which we will do. And in the more upcoming classes, we're going to talk about the ankle, why we have the problems in the ankle and the elbow and different types of joints. Okay, overall together. And I hope we find these classes interesting and we'll keep going on. And I'll see you in the next class. And I'll see you tomorrow, most of you. Okay, have a lovely day. Thank you so much. Enjoy your time. Wish you a very happy Holi. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Anuj. Thank you.
Thank you, Ajay. Thank you.